Hey guys, my name is Mitch with Under the Firewall. I make videos about technology and cybersecurity. And this week I want to talk a little bit about data privacy, data harvesting by companies, and what you can do to combat the practice of data collection. So, to jump into it, I know the first question you're going to ask is, why should I care? A lot of people have the mindset that, I don't have anything to hide. Why should I care if a company collects your data or my data, rather? And I'll tell you, it's a huge privacy issue. And that's kind of what the theme of this video is about is privacy. Because, you know, when it comes to something like privacy, it doesn't matter until it really does, right? I mean, a lot of us act very nonchalant about it, like, oh, I have nothing to hide. But what happens when your personal information gets leaked and your identity gets stolen? Then you're going to care, like, bottom line, point blank, period. It's not an issue until it becomes an issue. And so that's why I want to talk about this, because understand that data harvesting isn't necessarily about like marketing and advertising. It's also about protecting the security of your personal information whenever you're browsing online. And part of the reason why I care so much about this is you don't know exactly who's collecting your data or what they're collecting about you. And if they're collecting your data, like if companies are collecting your data, you don't necessarily understand how they secure that data, what data they have about you, and who they're selling it to. So it's a huge privacy concern in my mind, because let's say, for example, a company collects your data and the server that they store your data on is insecure and it gets targeted by a malicious third-party hacker. Well, at that point, your identity could be stolen, your personal information could be leaked, and there's absolutely nothing that you can do about it because it was harvested, somewhat legally by a third party that effectively has your permission to do so. And that's why it's so important to understand your digital footprint online so that you can combat just how much control these companies have over your personal information. And so once your personal information is sold, once it's collected and sold, effectively, we all know what companies do with our personal information. They use it to build a profile about you. And once they have that profile built, what they can do is they can market products to you. They can sell your personal information to other companies to use as like demographics, so that they can understand like what your likes and dislikes are. They can use it to build a profile about you that essentially exposes who you are, what you want, what you like, and what you dislike. And like I said earlier, if one of those advertising companies has a security breach, the only thing that you can do about it is respond to the breach that happens by securing your accounts, by securing your email, and it's basically a game of cat and mouse where you're constantly trying to catch up with people always trying to steal your data. So, with that established, I want to talk about what are some more in-depth practices about data collection, and what you can do to kind of get around that. And so I'm going to hop over to my screen share. And this article by UserCentrics is pretty good at describing what exactly is collected and why. So what they're looking for is personal information like your name, your email address, credit card number, geographic location, your demographics like age, gender, interests, etc. Another category is your behavioral data, like pages you visited, links you've clicked on in those pages, time spent on those websites, and search queries performed to get there, and search queries performed to see what you're interested in. And it's also tracking your purchases and transactions on these websites too. And on top of those two categories, they're going to harvest your technical data too, like what device you're using, like mobile or desktop, operating systems being used while you're browsing, what browser type that you use, and your IP address to monitor exactly who you are and where you're from. Um, the next thing I want to establish is what kind of companies sell data. So if you are a person who is interested in like what personal data of yours is being sold, this is kind of what you need to look for. Data brokers that collect data, big tech companies, marketing firms, advertising agencies. Data brokers are companies like Axiom and Experian. Tech giants like Facebook and Google monetize user data with advertising, and marketing companies collect consumer data to target ads and campaigns. And group two is financial services companies, retailers, telecom providers, public record firms, basically like banks and credit card companies, retailers, mobile carriers or internet service providers, public record firms like Spokio, etc. These are going to be the types of companies that are going to look to harvest personal information about users online so that they can build profiles about uh, what you are or who you are and what you want. Now, a good way to like combat these kind of things is to like understand privacy, and AVG does a good I has a good article about using incognito mode. A lot of people they use incognito mode the wrong way, right? Because using incognito mode doesn't necessarily mean that you're not being tracked, or your data is completely hidden, because there are certain things that incognito mode doesn't just doesn't protect you from. Like your IP address is still revealed. Companies can still track certain session data while you're in incognito mode. And if you're signing into your accounts in incognito mode, then obviously wherever you're signing in is going to be collecting data, basically about you anyway, because they're going to associate you with that account. So, what does incognito mode do? You're probably asking. And it's going to delete cookies and browser history whenever you close your browser. It prevents some online tracking, including ad tracking, and it protects sensitive information such as passwords and personal data. And it lets you log into multiple accounts on the same website, and it helps you manage browser extensions by turning them off automatically in an incognito mode browser. And this article goes into how to turn it on and how to use it, but I'm sure you guys have already, used incognito mode before, so I'm not going to bore you with that. And I want to talk about for a second why it's important to fight back against these practices. Uh, you don't know just how much information about you is out there. It's impossible. And so the best security that you can practice is just prevention, right? Monitor your digital footprint by understanding what information is available publicly about you online by not giving sketchy companies your information. That's the best thing that you can do. And the way to do that is to use tools like VPNs to change your IP address so companies don't know where you live when you're visiting their websites. Also, understand how tracking cookies work because whenever you visit a website, a lot of the times what they do is they put a cookie in your browser, and those cookies basically track what you're doing on that website and where you go afterwards. So do a little bit of research on tracking cookies, because I promise you, you won't like it. And the best way to, get around that is to use tools like VPNs and incognito mode. And in your browser, there's settings to turn off like tracking requests as well. So highly suggest you look into doing that too. Another thing that you can do is use a disposable email address service. One that I use is like temp-mail.org. That's a really good one. They have a pretty good privacy policy to protect their user data. And basically what you can do with disposable email addresses is it's a temporary email address that gets deleted after the session is done with. But if you're kind of wary about what a company has to offer, you can sign up with a disposable email address, and instead of giving them your real email, you can kind of investigate what they have going on before you commit to like really like using their services by using a disposable email address. So that's another really good privacy tip that you can use on top of like using a VPN, using incognito mode to stop like tracking requests and cookies. That's another really good one. Another thing that you can do is remove personal information about yourself from search engines. There's tools online that are available for you to do this, like Google's Results About You dashboard and the request to remove personal information form that they have. I'll show you real quick what those look like. So this is Google's request to remove personal info form, and they call it the request personal content removal form from Google. I'll throw links to this in the description as well so that you can check these out for yourself. And this right here, this is the Results About You dashboard. Basically, in this dashboard, you can go in here, you can give Google your personal information that you want it to like scan its search engine for, like your name, address, phone number, etc. And it'll tell you which search results come up with your personal information, and you can have them removed. Like you can see right here, like there's a couple of results for me that say like Official USA. That's like the website that had my personal info. And Fast People Search, that's another one. Basically, these websites had my information. I requested Google to remove them in this dashboard, and they were approved. And now those like two websites aren't like hosted on search results. You can see it checks it routinely, and it'll tell you whenever the last check was right here. So it's a pretty useful tool. And another thing I want to say is that when it comes to things like privacy online, one of the best things that you can do is help your friends and family understand why protecting your privacy is important. Because we're all interconnected in some way. So if it's not you, it's going to be somebody else close to you, right? And we're all interconnected, like I said, and a chain is only as strong as its weakest link. So if you can help the next person in line from you protect their data, effectively we become a stronger community by assisting each other in staying private, staying anonymous online, because I'm a firm believer in anonymity online. I think it's extremely important. I think that companies have way too much data about us, and there's not enough laws in place anywhere in the world to protect consumers, to protect average people like you and me. So the only thing that you can do is learn these security concepts for yourself and learn how to protect yourself and share these ideas with other people so that they can understand why it's important to protect your data, why it's important to stay private online, why it's important to stay safe when browsing. And one little tip, I won't go into granular detail about this particular tip, but if you are an advanced user, I suggest using an encrypted DNS service, preferably one like uh, Quad 9 is the name. Quad 9 is a DNS service in Sweden that basically does not collect any of the data that you are sending it. It allows it to completely pass through their servers, and it doesn't monitor you, it doesn't track you, etc. And the reason why using encrypted DNS is so important is because DNS is like the phone book of the internet. Any website that you visit is going to be registered in a DNS registry somewhere. So if you're visiting these websites, basically you're telling your ISP, if you're not using an encrypted DNS service, you're telling your ISP what websites you're visiting, when you're visiting, why you're visiting them, what you're doing on these websites. And it's not just ISPs. If there's tracking cookies and stuff on your browser, a lot of the times they're going to be tracking this information too. So using an encrypted DNS service like Quad 9 is another incredibly useful tool to protect yourself from companies harvesting your data, especially ISPs. And the last thing that I want to show you guys today is it's a website called HaveIBeenPwned. This website monitors data breaches reported by companies. So if there is a public company like Amazon, Facebook, etc., that has had a data breach in the past, this company, or this website rather, will tell you if your account has been involved in a data breach, and it'll tell you what company has reported that breach, what information about that breach is available to malicious third parties, and then you can go back and you can basically get out in front of that breach, and you'll know if you need to update your passwords or like change your account information, etc. If you want to like change your email address that's been used in the data breach and stuff like that. And I'll just show you. This is not my real email, by the way. Like as an example, I'm just going to use like johnsmith@gmail.com. And you can see if I just typed in, an example email, this guy, whoever he is, was pwned in 287 data breaches, and they found 59 pastes, which means there's 59 reports. And like I said, this list will show you like which companies were involved. Like this guy, his data was leaked in Adobe. I guess I'm leaking his data right now too. Sorry, johnsmith@gmail.com, if you see this video. Apparently some kind of Bitcoin security forum, XSplit, Patreon, 000 web host. Apparently this guy likes Heroes of New Earth. Lord of the Rings Online, Lifeboat, and you can see like the compromised data for him as like email address, passwords, and usernames. So that's just another example of how you can protect yourself, how to understand how security breaches work, and how to stay safe online. This is a really good website. Shout out to these guys, HaveIBeenPwned.com. So I hope this video this week has been informative. I hope this helped. If you find my content particularly entertaining, again, I'm Mitch with Under the Firewall. Please like the video, subscribe if you want to see more of my long form content, and I'll see you guys next week. All right, bye.